Robert Craig, just an old man reading from his Bible. I'm the old man, of course, and this here's the Bible I use for these readings, the Holy Bible, King James Version. Well, we looked at last time how there was repercussions when Jacob stole the blessing from his elder brother, and his mother advised him to go and stay with Laban for a few days. Well, he got 2 wives, 2 concubines, and a dozen sons in that deal, and he comes back, and the next to the youngest son, I guess, he's the elder brother of Benjamin, so this would be Joseph. He was granted favor in his father's sight, and they became jealous, and they sold him to a caravan of, I believe it was Ishmaelites that were on their way down to Egypt. They sold him into slavery, and I'll just skip right down here to chapter 39, verse 1. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. Well, of course, you know the story of that. His wife takes a fancy to Joseph, the house steward, tries to seduce him, and when she fails that, in spite, she accuses him, and he's cast into prison, where he is finally brought before Pharaoh to interpret the Pharaoh's dreams, which were troubling him, and through his connection with the Lord, he's able to tell Pharaoh there's 7 years of plenty, and after that 7 years of famine, and that's what the God of heaven is trying to tell you. And of course, Pharaoh, when he understands what's being told him through this dream, we see in chapter 41, verse 39, Joseph has told him what the plan needs to be. Pharaoh said unto Joseph, For as much as God hath showed thee all this, there's none so discreet and wise as thou art. In other words, he's saying, you understand all this better than anybody else. If there needs to be someone to oversee this great project to save the people from starvation, there's only one man for the job, and that's the man with this connection to the God of heaven. Pharaoh, he says, Thou shalt be over my house, and according to thy word shall all my people be ruled. In other words, you say it, and they'll do it. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. So basically what he's done, he's put Joseph as the next ruler under the throne itself. He's the governor of Egypt, and he is like the second in command. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck, and made him to ride in the second chariot. So that would be like, when our president travels, he's in Air Force One. But if the vice president is also traveling on the same trip, it's very customary that the president should not be in the same plane with the vice president, because, we couldn't afford to lose both at one time. So the vice president usually travels typically in Air Force Two. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphnath-Paaneah, and this is because of his new office. And I don't know the exact meaning of it. Evidently, it's a word from the Egyptian tongue. And he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On. That's one of the gods of Egypt. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. In other words, he took charge of this great project. And let's see, in verse 53, and the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended, and the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said, and the dearth was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. They had been saving a certain portion of it until they had a huge stockpile of food. And the famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt, and all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was sore in all lands. So Jacob sends his sons down there to buy food, except that he doesn't send Benjamin. He sends 10 of them down there to bring back sackfuls of food. Chapter 42, verse 5, and the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, and the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed themselves before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them, and said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, Even from the land of Canaan, to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. Well, why would they? So many years had passed, and they're dealing with a man named Zaphnath-Paaneah. So they know they're dealing with the governor of Egypt. So the first trip passes, and they tell their father, strange thing happened on the way back home. First time we stopped overnight at an inn, we found that we had our money back in our sacks as well as the food. And they told him about the man. They said, the man who's the Lord of the land spake roughly unto us, took us for spies of the country. Anyway, he learns that they mentioned that there was yet another brother, and the governor had told him, don't come back without that brother. We won't do business again unless you bring that brother. So through that series of events, they finally are able to bring Jacob and his household down to Egypt, because there's like several more years of the famine. And Israel, Jacob, who's now Israel, he learns that his son he thought was lost is alive, and he's the ruler of Egypt, the second ruler. In verse 1 of chapter 46, we see, and Israel took his journey with all that he had, and came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices unto the God of his father Isaac. And God spake unto Israel in the visions of the night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here am I. And he said, I am God, the God of thy father, Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again. And Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eyes. That's a peculiar phrase. I don't remember seeing it up to this point before, but it has long been a custom. Some people, when they die, their eyes remain open, and whoever is with them, they're laying there with their eyes open, and you've seen it in the movies. They'll go. It's considered a respectful gesture to the departed to not just let them lay there with their eyes gazing off into space, and we close their eyelids. In fact, when I was a kid, they used to speak about a person being larcenous in nature, and they would say, he is so crooked he would steal the nickels off a dead man's eyes. Because oftentimes, they would set coins on top of someone's eyes to make sure that the eyelids would stay closed until things had set. But anyway, he is assured by the Lord that Jacob will be there when he gives up the ghost. And they bring him down. They present them before Pharaoh. Chapter 47, verse 7. Joseph brought in Jacob his father and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh said unto Jacob, how old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, the days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have been the days of the years, read that again. Few and evil the days of the years of my life. Well, anyway, he says, I'm stumbling over that for some reason, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage. So he was thinking that he would probably not live to the age that his fathers had. Chapter 48, verse 1, it came to pass after these things that one told Joseph, behold, thy father is sick. And he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. This is another example of the second birth being blessed above the first. And one told Jacob and said, behold, thy son Joseph cometh unto thee. And Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed. And Jacob said unto Joseph, God Almighty appeared unto me at Luz, that's Bethel, of course, in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said unto me, behold, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and I will make of thee a great multitude of people, and will give this land to thy people after thee for an everlasting possession. And now thy two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt, before I came unto thee into Egypt, are mine. In other words, he's claiming them as his descendants. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine, and thy issue, which thou begettest after them, shall be thine. In other words, each one of these grandsons is going to become a tribe. It won't be just the tribe of Joseph. It's going to be Ephraim and Manasseh, and that did come to pass. As for me, when I came from Padan, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan in the way, when there was yet but a little way to come unto Ephrath. Ephrath is Ephratah, Bethlehem, I think. And I buried her there in the way of Ephrath. The same is Bethlehem. And let's see. Now, the eyes of Israel, this is verse 10, the eyes of Israel were dim with age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see thy face, and lo, God hath showed me also thy seed. And Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand, toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him, so that they could be blessed according to the blessing of the firstborn, the elder son, with the right hand, and the second son to the left hand. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly, for Manasseh was firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, God, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the God which fed me all my life long unto this day, and the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. He had to cross his hands to do this. Interesting. The cross was there in Egypt. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. His father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He shall become a people, and he shall be great, but truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. And he blessed them that day, saying, In thee shall Israel bless, saying, God make thee as Ephraim and Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. And we're going to continue with that. And next time we're going to finish up with the beginning of Israel's family in Egypt. And after that, we'll cut to the time 400 years after when they're ready to leave Egypt. But we're going to finish up with the patriarchs next time around, I hope. Until then, may the Lord bless this reading of His Holy Scripture. And we'll continue on next time. Hope to see you then.